How's it going, boys? Johnny Superb Man here, and it's time for another NHL 17 Shootout commentary. And I want to spend the rest of the summer giving my opinion on some of the teams in the NHL and how their offseason will affect the upcoming year. Today, we are going to talk about my Toronto Maple Leafs, the next Eastern Conference powerhouse, and possibly, I'm going to say it, the next dynasty. That's right, boys, you heard me. Now, we all know about the turnaround year the Toronto Maple Leafs just had, drafting the Rookie of the Year Austin Matthews first overall, trading for a goaltender, Frederik Andersen, developing young studs like William Nylander and Mitch Marner into legitimate NHL players, making the playoffs for the first time since 2013, the second time since 2004, and scaring the crap right out of the Capitals in the first round. In short, you can say it was an A-plus season for a team many thought to still be a rebuilder. However, even with that great season behind them, the young Leafs still have a lot to go through before they can contend for that Stanley Cup. Now, their biggest weakness right now is the young blue line. Jake Gardiner and Morgan Rielly would be the best two defensemen on the team, but they are far from legitimate top two D-men. Nikita Zaitsev had a strong year considering it was his rookie season, and the free agent signing of Ron Hainsey will bring some quote-unquote veteran leadership, but I don't think it's going to be enough. At best, we have three top three defensemen. Rielly, Gardiner, and Zaitsev can fill that role if they are playing on top of their game, and maybe they can have a breakout season, right? But I see the Leafs needing to make a big splash in order to bolster that blue line with that top two D-men that they need. Now, there is some good news for the D-core in Toronto. At this year's draft, they selected Timothy Liljegren at 17th overall, which is a damn steal. Liljegren was projected to be the top defenseman in the draft, but had to put up with a month of mononucleosis, which sidelined him for a chunk of his draft season. Okay, to me, this is a perfect draft pick for the Leafs. We made the playoffs and still drafted a guy who could be a stud for us. If it was just his health that made him drop back to 17th overall, then the Leafs fleeced the entire league, and the answer to our blue line may already be a Leaf. Now, don't think for 1 second that I believe Liljegren is going to come up next year and play like Erik Karlsson. He's probably going to go down the William Nylander route, spend a year in the AHL, and then come up towards the end of the year, see how he plays, we'll see what happens, right? But the point is that the Leafs are a young team, now with a defensive prospect that can join in with Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Rielly, Hyman, Brown, and build for the future. So I'm liking the way it's looking. Now let's talk about the offense, which happens to be the Leafs' biggest advantage. We are set up front, which is not something I'm used to saying here in Toronto. Ever since Matt Sundin left, Toronto has been hoping that they would land that elite center. And last year, our prayers were finally answered with Austin Matthews. In his first season, he scored 40 freaking goals. In his first game, he got 4. In this first season, he got 40. And completely changed the Leafs roster for the better. I mean, guys like Kadri and Bozak. Kadri scored 30 goals for the first time. Bozak had his best point-producing season. The success for these two centers comes from having a true number one center like Matthews to play behind. We also have a very deep winger pool with guys like Marner, Nylander, who both may be centers, I don't know, Hyman, Brown, Kapanen, JVR, and Komarov. And with free agency now, you can add Patrick Marleau and Dominic Moore to that offense. Dominic Moore will be a great fourth liner, especially with those face-offs. I imagine he'll be the Brian Boyle replacement, right? But Patrick Marleau, ooh, he's the perfect veteran winger to play alongside of these young centers. But you know, I've heard a lot of criticism of the Marleau signing, so let me just squash this real quick. He's too old for a 3-year deal. Patrick Marleau is a freaking Iron Man who hasn't missed a game since 2009. He'll be fine. We paid too much for him. We have 2 free years before we have to pay Matthews and Marner. Why not give him a deal? The 3rd year you'll be screwed. We can trade Marleau at any time. So stop with that nonsense. This is a great signing for the young Leafs. I see our first line now being Marleau, Matthews, and Hyman. I mean, Babcock loves putting Hyman and Matthews together, right? With Marleau in there, the veteran to help them out, he also has great face-offs. Maybe he'll take the face-offs there for Matthews, especially in the defensive end. You know, with that line together, that'll free up Nylander and Marner for the second and third lines. Can you say offensive depth? I can. So there it is, guys. I see the Leafs competing for the playoffs once again this year, but it's hard to say this. Until they land that real defenseman, I don't see them getting past the second round. I mean, maybe we get lucky, but we need that top 2 guy. We need that bona fide defenseman that can log minutes, and Rielly, Gardiner, and Zaitsev, they're just not there yet, right? But here's the real question. With the Patrick Marleau signing, is JVR on his way out? JVR has 1 year left, and I don't think we can afford to sign him. The way contracts are going now, JVR is going to want at least $7 million over like 5 or 6 years. So we're saving a little bit of money if we're replacing Marleau for JVR. And if we are replacing JVR with Marleau, does that free up JVR for a trade for a D-man? Maybe JVR straight up for a D-man. We acquire JVR for Luke Shen. Bring back another defenseman for him. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? The Leafs next year and the potential trades that we may still have. Let me know, guys, and I will see you next time. Be sure to check out our website, 2bcsports.com, where the hockey talk continues. Find myself and others in the live interactive chat, or dive into the active forums to talk about sports and gaming. You can also find us on Twitch, where the live streams come to life.